Welcome everyone to our gathering. This is Bob Schultz, and I am thrilled to be with you today. I'm also thrilled to be joining the Domino community, Domino clients, Domino champions, and the Domino business partners. This community is like none other in the industry. It is strong, it is vibrant, and decade after decade, you continue to deliver value to tens of thousands of businesses around the globe. Today we have over 1,500 people joining live. Good afternoon, guten tag, bonjour to the big contingent from Europe. I want to acknowledge Innie Sue, Jason Gray, Ed Brill, and the many people who have helped to create and build and grow Domino. And I must admit that I'm humbled and honored and excited to become part of this iconic community at this point in time. While we've had some changes in leadership, the mission remains the same, helping businesses get work done. The team asked me to say something about myself, and I'll keep it brief because today is not about me. It's about the future and the opportunity we have together. And I look forward to meeting those of you coming to Think in a few weeks in person. And for those of you who can't make it, I look forward to getting to know you online and at other events throughout the year. Now, I've been fortunate in my career to be involved at key moments in time in the industry, moments that became inflection points, opening up amazing opportunities for the business, partners, and clients. Domino has had many of those moments in its history, and I believe we're poised for another. I'm excited about the direction and the future, and what you're about to hear from Richard and Andrew is the first installment of what's possible with this great Domino portfolio and the HCL-IBM partnership. We are both investing for the long haul, and over the coming weeks and months, we'll be able to share even more with you, so stay tuned. Today is about what we've heard during the 22-plus face-to-face and virtual Domino jams. And we've distilled the information from 22,000 participants into the product vision and roadmap that matters to your business. This is a unique opportunity, an exciting time to be associated with you, the product, and the market. And I want to thank all of you for joining and for your support. And now let me hand it over to Richard and Andrew to get started. I'll be back at the end for the Q&A.
Thank you, Bob. This is Andrew Manby here. I'm the director responsible for the market and product strategy for the Domino portfolio within the IBM Collaboration Solutions team. Good morning and good afternoon, folks. My name is Richard Jeffs. I'm responsible for development and support, as well as the general manager and vice president for the collaborative workflow platform, formerly the Domino Notes portfolio from IBM. And together, we're very honored to give you a sneak peek of currently what's in Richard's HCL lab. You know, what effectively will be our Domino version 10 release coming in 2018, coming this year. We're giving you a sneak peek. It's not the complete story, but as months and weeks unfold, you'll see more and more sparklers or flames, as Bob likes to talk about it, unfold. So we're not announcing version 10 today, but we're giving you, as valued members of the community, a sneak peek on what's currently being worked on. So if you join us at Think, you'll learn more, but that won't be the only opportunity to understand what's going on. Thank you, Andrew. All right, so we did these 22 face-to-face events. We had 4 online forums. We had 2,000 participants. So what did we hear? You know, there was absolute consistency across the high-priority themes, and we collected every scrap of input in the form of photos of all of the design thinking sessions, the videos, the polls, and the votes. So we were able to collect both quantitative and qualitative analysis. And as you can see here, some of the pictures from around the world. You can see some of the themes, also some of the stats that we collected, which was 85 of the respondents to one question said they want to be able to deliver their apps on mobile. 76.4% of respondents said they wanted a browser interface to their existing apps. 81.3% said they wanted to produce charts and reports from their existing data. And the top 3 things for application development were modern tools and frameworks, removing existing limits and core performance of the platform, were the things people that wanted us to focus on. From a mail perspective, it was really all about consumability, performance, and functionality around notes. It was in continuing with our march around our story around Outlook. It's helping with the enterprise integration around authentication, and same time, those were the top major categories. So
So I think, Andrew, for me, and Bob mentioned this earlier, one of the really compelling items that I came away from the jam sessions was really the dedication and the passion of our customer and user and partner base. And one thing that I really resonated with and I felt that was really compelling for us to focus on moving forward was we heard loud and clear from the base that we needed to focus on our marketing and go-to-market moving forward. So one of the things that we've taken away, and this is our first instance into our Rolling Thunder communication strategy, this is an area that you will see a focus on where we'll be very transparent around what we have built. We will expose and show you what we have done, and we'll give you broader insight into how we're going to be communicating more across the market moving forward. Andrew and I are going to touch base on that a little bit as the presentation goes on here. But I think the main thing for me was we heard loud and clear from all of you that you want to see what we've done. And so this is going to be the first instance where we will have demos throughout this presentation where we will expose some of the work that the development team in collaboration with the OM organization from IBM have been working on over the last couple months. So we're excited about showing you all of that as we transition through this webinar.
Very Richard. I think it's important to point out that it's been just about a month since we actually finished all of those jam events, which we ran at the end of last year, at the beginning of this year. So as you can see, we've been very busy, to Richard's point, about solidifying that into a product vision as well as a roadmap. So it was back in October that we announced the partnership with HCL. We announced that we were committed to a robust and exciting roadmap, and we were committed to delivering a version 10 of the product within 2018. Now, going back to what Richard was saying, one of the key things we heard was loud and clear, not only that go-to-market story, but what was our vision for the product? Where were we going to take it? Where were we going to place our bets? Because, at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we have a vision in mind and we're building towards it. So with that in mind, this is our big, hairy, audacious goal. For those who are familiar with that construct, it's really about creating the platform. And this is really going back to the genesis of the product. When the product first came out, it was really a platform. The first compelling app was mail. So it's really, if you look at the value that we're providing for mail and the applications, it's really enabling those business users to solve their collaborative, intensive business problems. And what we want to do is further turn up the brightness on enabling people to do that anywhere and anyone. So not only the technical IT community and developers, but also back to the business users as well within that vision. So I think it's important to set the context here. The version 10 is the first installment of a down payment, if you like, on this roadmap that we're rolling out with our vision for Domino 2025, which is our enduring vision here. So the last thing I wanted to add is rest assured that we're going to connect the dots here from what we're doing with the Domino Notes Verse Same Time portfolio to the existing ICS collaboration solutions investments as well. So with that, let me just move on to the next slide, and Rich is going to take you through some of the themes of version 10.
So as Andrew noted there, when we really went through this and started to walk through the feedback first and foremost, and then really started to look at where those investments needed to be across the portfolio, we identified three major themes that we wanted to stay focused on. The first one, obviously, that Andrew noted, that's really core to our vision and to the strategy, is around app dev. And as we've been focused on that, one of the things that is really key around app development is we want to make sure that Domino is embracing JavaScript moving forward, that we're focused on open source standards, and we're really aligning across our communities globally. And this is an area that you're going to see a lot of investment, a lot of focus, as Andrew noted, our vision of getting back to our core. And so we're excited about taking the team from a development perspective, all of that knowledge and experience experience they have from the 20, 25 plus years that they've been working on this platform, and going back and actually sprinkling across the organization some new thoughts and perspectives of how we stay focused and start to move our platform stack to more modern standards. Experience is another area we've heard loud and clear, and this is an area that we all believe, between Andrew, myself, and the broader team, that we have to deliver, first and foremost, a world-class mail experience. And that includes investments that need to happen on the desktop, on mobile, as well as you're going to hear some investments we're making within chat as well. And that's going to be an exciting area that we believe will be seeing lots of our customer base. And then rest be assured, we realize, and we've heard loud and clear from all of you on our experience side as well, is we need to put our apps on mobile as well and other devices as soon as possible. So lots of focus happening across the development organization and in that area. And then last and not the least important is around TCO. So we will continue to stay focused on extending our in the TCO area. There's investments that you're going to hear about within the infrastructure that have been challenges to our customer and partner base for quite some time that fortunately we've actually been able to make a lot of momentum on over the last couple months. And as Andrew noted, v10 will be delivered in 2018, so we'll be very focused on TCO moving forward throughout the calendar year. And our goal, as we have mentioned and will continue to mention during this webinar, will be around transparency. So we will talk about pre-beta and betas, where we'll be exposing our code and features and functions to all of you, where we can continue to get that closed-loop feedback from a development perspective. We're going to unwind each one of these areas moving forward, and I'm going to hand it off to Andrew next here.
Thanks, Richard. So as Richard mentioned, there's three areas we're going to go through. We're going to start out with total cost of ownership and then dive into experience and then get to app dev. So I'll lead off this slide. So based on the overwhelming feedback that we had around the pain points, and I personally went to 9 events and virtual forums over the period of time. And the first area was really continuing the idea about making the platform more bulletproof. It's pretty bulletproof today, but there are some things that we need to do to further extend that. So what we heard loud and clear was remove the 64 gigabyte NSF limit. We're doing that. We heard that try and automate the NSF and database repair. We're doing that. We heard that people wanted indexing to be more robust, more resilient. You wanted auto building, schedule root building, and crash prevention. We're doing that. You also wanted to have deployment choice. So while we supported Docker images in FP, or the ability to use Docker in FP10, Feature Pack 10 recently, we'll actually be shipping Docker Enterprise Edition images with that.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrew. So obviously one of the things that we're going to continue to stay focused on, and we believe is really core to the Domino stack, is first and foremost a trusted and secure option. And there's areas we're making around investments around Active Directory integrations being much more simple. We will be focused on ID Vault and management improvements, as well as SAML and IDP upgrades for SSO. I think the key for us here is, and the really compelling story, and I know Andrew and I are excited about this, is many of the things that we've identified here have already been developed and coded by the team. So we've already been focused on this for the last couple months and have been able to drive velocity while we've been working through this transition over to HCL. So the team is going to continue to stay focused on these major areas from a TCO perspective, as well as others. And as we progress in our agile development, we'll continue to share how we're progressing here. But I think the main thing for me at this point is we are already making progress. And for us, and the message again that we heard loud and clear from all of you is that you want to see it. So we're looking forward to, these are the things that are harder to actually demo, but these are the types of things that as we continue to build and invest in the stack, we'll be making progress on.
All right, so diving into the second area, Richard.
Sure. So experience, as we mentioned at the beginning here, and the overwhelming feedback that we received, the focus for V10, for our Domino V10, especially around mail and chat experience, is going to be targeted around, first, how do we actually make it much more consumable? The second area we believe is really, really key, and this is an area that the development team has been spending a lot of time around doing analysis and identifying areas we can make improvements around speed. We believe that this is an area that every single one of our users wants to see improvements. We have identified areas that we will make optimizations around performance, and I'm excited about where we're going to be going there. And then obviously around the app side, as we continue to focus on the core aspects of our business, we will be very focused around what we can do around the experience there. But just to give you a little bit of insight and a little bit more level of detail, some of the areas that we will be focused on in V10 around, we'll be making investments around auto updates of the Notes client, which will improve deployments for larger organizations. This is an area that we, fundamentally from an administrative perspective, want to be making investments, and we plan on continuing there. Versus on-prem, we've had lots of momentum around VoIP, and V10 is an area that will continue to improve this browser-based mail experience. And this is an area that will unwind a bit more when we're at Think and give you much more visibility into. Versus mobile and Traveler, these are all areas that we have in our regular agile iteration schedule. And as we progress on the mobile experience for Verse and Traveler, we'll be giving you more insight into these as well at Think and over the upcoming months as we continue to provide visibility into our development cycle via our playbacks and retrospectives. One area that I was excited about that the team really took a challenge on around same time. And so when we looked at same time and said, what is the thing that we can do that'll actually make a difference out there? That thing that we heard loud and clear from all of you was around multi-client chat. And this is an area that we will make investments. This was the number one request from all of you. And this is an area that the development team is focused on making that improvement into our V10 release. So for us at this point, there'll be more insights into what we're doing around Verse on-prem features, and we'll also be giving you some further news around our third-party mail integrations. A lot of this is what we would consider at this point within the webinar. We're going to be calling our top secret areas that we are looking forward to exposing all of you to at Think and in our further blog series that we're going to be conducting. Now from here, I'm going to hand it over to our team for our Notes Domino demo.
All right, thanks, Richard. So here are some things that have already been built in the lab. One of the things we heard concretely was that people wanted the team calendar capability. So with Think coming up, there's a lot of I have a lot of the OMs, the product managers, actually on the road, and what you can see here is a team calendar that all of my team can actually contribute to. And I haven't added anything to it, so what I'm doing right now is just adding myself to this team calendar. This was overwhelmingly something we heard. The other thing we actually heard from folks was they wanted the ability to be able to use Microsoft Word as the editor of choice when they were actually in a discussion forum or actually editing things in the database itself. So as you can see here, I can directly edit it. Now, what often happens, in a run-up to an event like this, we're establishing teams, we're assigning subject matter experts. So in this particular regard, Klaus Roeder on my team has taken responsibility for the breakout sessions. And the regular cadence call I'm on for Think, I need to invite him to attend the call itself. So as you can see here, I have the ability to be able to invite him, providing things are still running. I can invite others to a call that I don't actually own, which is a major step up. So inviting someone to an existing meeting is a very helpful piece of the capability. You can see here. The next thing inviting someone to a meeting is just one thing. The next part of it is, where's the context? So imagine if I have to, email, 9 or 10 different email threads to give him context for the meeting. What if I could just easily highlight all of the email threads and send them as an attachment to him all in one go? So now he has the ability directly within Notes, I have the ability within Notes to collect all of those email messages and package them all up as one and send them. Yeah, what a time saver that is. The next thing is, at the end of the day, we've got to have some time off to have some relax. No, it doesn't look particularly good, but I'm keeping my fingers. It's going to be good further up at Jay's Peak. So if I want to send an email out to my team to let them know that something's actually going on and it's after the fact, what I'm able to do is to send a scheduled email. And unfortunately, that scrolled off, but what you saw, there was a scheduled email. So this is all stuff that's been built already, as Richard mentioned. It's in the cadence, it's being iterated on, and they're already delivering. We'll show you a lot more of this as we get to think. One thing I just wanted to point out actually is that following this call within the next 7 days, we will produce a blog post that will not only link to the recording, but you'll get an email about the recording immediately following this session today. The blog post will include the questions in the chat that we'll answer. It will also include some of the highlights, and we will also post the demos that you see today. So I know it went past very quickly. There's another demo coming up very shortly, but rest assured, if you missed it, you'll get to see it. Okay. So we've covered two areas. I now want to dive into the world of application development. I've always been impressed. I've had a background in data integration, analytics, and also databases. I've been impressed by the fact that Notes has been a Swiss Army knife for application development. If there were 21 ways to do something, this community found 25 ways of doing it. And we want to continue to support that. From an investment standpoint, we need to sort of make it very crystal clear where our investments and where our collaborations are in terms of leveraging that investment. And we've really thought about making it simpler by thinking about it in 4 swim lanes of investment. If you're an existing Notes Domino apps customer today and you're delivering it through the Notes client, or you're delivering it through ICAA or through X Pages, then that's something that will continue to extend the value. In the next area, Richard, we want to unleash those apps.
Exactly, and thank you for the intro here, Andrew. One area that we're really excited about, and again, this is an area that we are looking forward to actually showing the progress that has been made at Think. This is something that we've heard loud and clear from many of you, and frankly, it's been an important focus for us over the last couple of months that we will continue to make investments in. But as you can see here on the Unleash side, we are making significant progress with apps on the iPad. We will be showing this actually at Think in great detail in many of our sessions. And we're excited about the progress that has been made here across the team, and we look forward to exposing that to the broader community in the very, very near future. And then on the Enhance side?
On the Enhance side, we're working with a number of partners. One that comes to mind immediately is Team Technology out of Germany, and they have some terrific capabilities to be able to take an existing Domino app and make it ready for the desktop as a JavaScript HTML5 application. And we see a lot of promise and value, and they've got some terrific customer references for that. So that's Enhance. And in the last category, we have Evolve. This is really where we're bringing open industry standards, skills, tools, and developers to the platform that not only enables you to expand what you do with the platform today, but also enables you to find resources that can actually leverage the platform as well and increase the usage and ROI from the platform itself.
And we believe this is an area that touches all 3 of the themes that we had mentioned, aligning obviously on the app side, the app development side, as well as experience, and as Andrew mentioned, TCO. And we're excited to show you today, actually, some of the work that has gone on there.
Correct. All right, so the next part of it, we have a vision around the evolution of the platform. Richard, why don't you just take us through that?
Yeah, sure. And so as one of the key things that we wanted to note here is that this is a journey. We are talking a lot about what will be coming in Domino v10, but again, we want to ensure that everyone here in our broader community understands that the investments that are being made today are part of the initial aspects of this journey. We anticipate, a version 11 as well as others. And so what we wanted to do, and we're going to be aligning on from a development and architecture perspective, is how will we continue to evolve this platform? One thing I want to be clear on as you look at this slide is that this is not a list of v10 capabilities. We have made progress in areas related to v10, but as we continue to focus on the journey, we want to keep you involved and be completely transparent. And for example, some of the areas that we really want to focus on moving forward is adding OAuth support, both as a consumer and provider. This will be done via REST APIs, and frankly will enable us to seamlessly integrate with any resource, data, and app, including Facebook, Amazon, GitHub, Bitbucket, PayPal, Salesforce, etc. And so for us, this is one example of how we plan on investing into the platform, how we will continue to push the platform and focus on the overall architecture. Another area is around NSF2. As the industry's first NoSQL database, we want to restart the database innovation. This is an area that we will be working on very closely with our development organization and offer management as well as our partners, and we believe this is an area that we can differentiate ourselves. Elasticsearch is another area that spans multiple NSFs that'll allow us for more flexible apps and better reporting and analytics. This will allow for our partners who build these different applications to integrate with us and expose new business opportunities and compelling applications for our customers in the future to solve their business problems. And then the final area that I just want to touch base on is really around deployment options. As Andrew noted at the beginning here, we have a focus on Docker, and we will continue to progress on that journey, and we're going to be extending what we can do with Docker. We'll also be focusing on what we've called internally DAC, which is Domino Apps on the Cloud. This is an area that we've heard from many of our customers are looking for us to leverage our experience, the knowledge that we have, the skills that we have to actually provide a service that allows them to move their critical business applications into the cloud and allow us to actually offer that world-class service to them. So this is an area across the board from a platform perspective that we will continue to make investments in. And frankly, as I noted earlier, we will be very transparent about this journey, the progress that we're making, and how we will be adjusting based on the market conditions out there, the customer feedback, and the changes that will happen out there around open source, deployment models, and collaboration as a whole. Andrew, do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks, Richard. So the third pillar here on version 10 is really about us adding Node.js support to the platform. This was a very easy one. This was probably the number one thing that we heard consistently, whether you're an online forum or whether you're actually face-to-face. And for those that you may not be familiar with it, Node is one of the leading open source frameworks and runtime environments for JavaScript applications. It helps developers to make web applications more responsive by writing both client and server-side code in JavaScript and making them scale. From a Domino perspective, this means Node.js will become part of Domino's evolving full-stack development environment. It was, as I mentioned, it was the number one thing. This will give us tremendous opportunities to closely intertwine Domino and Node.js, plus leverage JavaScript throughout the platform over time as we unfold our roadmap. Today, we're talking about taking step one, which is adding Node.js. Some of the highlights will be that we'll add Node.js binaries to be part of the Domino binary directory, so it's going to be part of the platform. This is not a sidecar, this is part of the platform. You'll be able to use npm to install any of the JavaScript packages, so you can take advantage of thousands of open source libraries and communities and leverage that immediately to build new applications. We'll be bundling Loopback, which is an open source Node.js API framework. Details of how we do that, we're still figuring that out. And you'll have the ability to call existing server-side activities and actions, as well as tapping into the data. The interesting thing on the flip side of bringing value of this to the platform is also today's JavaScript and Node.js developers, which are common in universities, they're common in business today, can take advantage of a bulletproof platform. The benefit, I think, overall is it creates new opportunities and helps to future-proof your apps, and also allows you to tap into those abundant skills that are out there. So at Think, we'll actually be enabling people to drill down onto that, and we'll also be packaging up all of those good demos and that information and making that available to everyone after Think. So right now, with a quick drum roll, I'm going to hand over to Jason Gary, who's going to take you through a very quick demonstration about what we're talking about here. Jason.
Great, thanks, Andrew. Hello, everyone. I decided I would crash the party a bit with Andrew and Richard and talk to you a bit about what's going on with Node.js. Here you see Microsoft code, and you see a Node.js app being built, and you see a Domino connector. This Domino connector allows this Node.js application to be able to communicate with the Domino server you see on the upper right. Again, it's part of the platform. And here you see 4 documents, 4 of my favorite drinking establishments around the world. And what we're going to first see is we're going to run this particular Node app that's been created, and it will create and dynamically provision a series of APIs for us. Now, these APIs will allow us to be able to integrate with that Domino application. And here you can see it here highlighted. So let's go ahead and let's see what those APIs look like. Here's the Loopback Explorer. Again, Andrew discussed that we've got Loopback bundled in. And let's do an API get. Now again, this API has been created by the Node application, and here you can see I've gotten my favorite drinking establishments all around the world. But it's missing one. As many of you know, I lived in Singapore for years, and my favorite place to have a drink or two in Singapore is a bar called Bar Black Sheep on the Singapore River. So let's add it using an HTTP post. Here you can see the response. We've got a nice 200 from the HTTP service. Now if I go back over to the Notes client, Bar Black Sheep is here. So let's just pivot back for 1 second and let's look at that exact same get that we did before, and let's do it again. And as you can see, Bar Black Sheep is listed. So what you've seen here is 3 technologies: Node.js, the Loopback framework around it, and Domino, all working in perfect harmony to be able to build a very compelling application extremely quickly. In fact, I wrote this app in 35 minutes. This is the kind of power that Node.js is going to bring to the Domino platform, organically integrated to everything that it does. So with that, I'm turning it back over.
Yeah, that's great, Jason. Great job. So we're now going to pivot the presentation bit into the next section. So we've sort of covered, I think, which is the main thrust of the sneak peek. There are some other bits and pieces that we want to go into now. So the first, we have 2 polling questions for you. We got a lot of feedback at the time about hardware and operating system combinations while we were on the road. This excludes the capability, as Richard was mentioning, about Domino apps to the cloud. But we want to hear from you about which is your most important platforms here. So I'll give you 1 minute to select what your priority platform is, and then we'll take a look at the result across all of the people on the call. So time to vote.
We did see in the QA, as we're answering the questions here, that it looked like the demo was spinning a little. So this we'll expose the demo to the broader community, so you can see all of the work that Jason actually just walked everybody through as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. As I mentioned, we'll create a blog post, and then you can watch the demos in your own time. So Lindsay, hopefully we can go to the polling results now.
Да, согласна. Была Спятова.
surprises there about Windows, certainly. A lot of interest in, looks like in Docker, iSeries, and Red Hat Linux, and CentOS. Okay, that's excellent. All right, time for polling question number 2. Thanks so much for your input. This time we're taking a slightly different question, and if it will pop up. Okay, so the next question is really around trying to understand how you want to consume the releases. I've known Richard now since April of last year, and the work he did to energize development and moving to more of an agile approach and aggressive iterations and releases. But we'd like to understand how you want to consume it. So here, take your time, take a look at it, and see how you want to take the releases.
I дай Боже. Да ничего, нормально, она выйдет, пол помоет после нее.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. There you go, Richard.
All right, this is it. So Andrew and I had a little bit of a debate about this. I was very hopeful that was going to end up being the overwhelming response. So.
Yeah, that's good. I was a bit surprised, to be honest, about the third one there.
Me as well.
Yeah, that was a little bit higher than I anticipated, but no surprises about number 1 there. Okay, great. All right, well, thank you very much for that input. That's been definitely helpful. So as Richard mentioned earlier on, one of the things we want to tackle right now is talk about sort of go-to-market. Outside of the technology, this was the number 1 item, and it really included a smorgasbord of different bits and pieces. I mean, we have a big list of things. We don't have answers to all of those to talk about today, but this is actually providing you some insight into some of the things that we're doing. It should be clear to everyone that we've certainly made an effort to establish a channel of communication with the community. We talked about giving you lots of opportunities to experience the product. You can see on here that we already have a number of the major events in the first half of the year already lined up. You'll see us, you'll see HCL, and you see IBM with a very highly visible presence at these events. Some of the other things that we're doing, as I mentioned, we're going to package up the thing content, which is the hands-on labs. It's the breakout session content. It's the mini keynote information. It's some of the other information and planning sessions we're doing with the champions. We'll make available to each of the GOs and work with the local teams on it. We'll continue to engage with other user group events. So if there's smaller user group events throughout the world, we'll work out a way to reach and get to you about that. One of the things we'll also be introducing is a monthly newsletter to keep you up to date with everything that's happening over and above the blog so you can easily consume it. We are also going to be rolling out a program called Destination Domino. And the idea is to create a community hub where HCL, SMEs, IBM SMEs are all going to be contributing, as well as our champions and you, to providing information that you want to share. So that's going to be a mixture of the editorial calendar, to be able to ask questions, as well as providing you updates on very important things that are actually happening. So this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of some of the things that we're planning for. But the overarching message that you should take on board is we will communicate, not only to you, our community, but also communicate to the market in whatever mechanism makes sense.
The other item that we do want to reiterate to all of you, and we've mentioned this to the community during the jam sessions and previously, is we have evolved into an agile development perspective. One of the things that we want to make sure that we would love your feedback on is at the end of every single one of our sprints, we do a playback. And we want to engage our partner and our customer community in those playbacks. This gives you an opportunity to actually influence what we're building, the investments we're making, and this is another area that you're going to see of transparency. The other aspect that you're going to see more focus on is we will be doing a pre-beta that we're working through the timing on right now, as well as a beta to the community. And this is another opportunity for all of you to actually leverage what we had built, provide us with feedback, and give us an opportunity to do some of that fine tuning that we're going to want to do before we actually release v10. These are some of the simple things that I think will be continued to focus on from a development perspective that'll align very nicely into Andrew's go-to-market approach.
Great, Richard. All right then, so in summary, before we go into the Q&A section, there's a couple of highlights we want to hit just to reiterate it. As I mentioned, we have a big, hairy, audacious goal. Our vision for Domino 2025 and Domino version 10, which will be available this year, is a new chapter in that story. It's a down payment. It gets us on that journey and will set the expectation in terms of some of the great stuff that you can look forward to in 2018 and beyond. There will be, as we've been mentioning all along, there'll be further news about version 10. We'll give you a snapshot of this information as a blog. When we do attend Think, if you're unable to attend it, that's okay. We'll make sure that information is packaged up and made available via the blog and also within your geos as well. We will be announcing version 10, so that's version 10 of Domino, version 10 of Notes, version 10 of Verse on-prem, and same time chat version 10 before the end of the year. We're unable to share the actual exact date yet, but as time goes on, we'll be able to do that. So lots of information to come. Stay tuned. We want to hear from you. We want to be engaged. Okay. All right, so the Q&A section, what we're going to do now is we're going to plug questions from the chat for Bob, myself, and Richard to answer. So we're just going to queue those up, and then we'll dive into those. Okay, maybe the first, there's a couple of questions here. The first question is, are we going to continue to invest in connectivity around the platform? And hopefully that sort of came out, but yes, we're going to continue to invest in connectivity, what we have with IEI today and also SCP. And when you look at the application development vision that Richard was talking about, he was talking about OAuth, and that becomes part of a new strategy around our connectivity integration for the platform. So expect to see more development in those areas. Richard, there's a question here about are you improving Notes, and what are we doing with Notes and Verse from a mail perspective, and also what are we doing about third-party mail integrations?
Yeah, so we'll talk more about the third-party mail integrations at Think, but this is an area that, look, we believe we have to continue to make investments, and frankly, we have to make some improvements in. So that will be something that we will cover in further detail at Think, but it is within our development backlog. As an organization, we will continue to, Mail, as Andrew noted, was our first app that we built, a highly integrated app on the Domino platform, and we will continue to make investments there. The investments that we will make will be within Verse, and as we've noted, Verse on-prem is an area that we've seen a lot of actually traction on and a lot of positive feedback from the customer base. So we'll be making investments on that side as well. And as we do have a strong team focused on the Notes client as well. And I think we just showed some examples within the demo of some of the progress we've been able to make in a short period of time. And the team is very focused on improving that experience within v10.
Great. So another great question here. Is there still time to provide feedback on our needs and what we're actually looking for? Well, what's actually happening now, Richard mentioned it, there's going to be some playback zeros. So that would be one avenue to provide feedback on the things that we're locked into from from a requirements perspective. The other fact is this is not done, right? We're still going to be continuing to have jam sessions, do online forums. We're going to be mutually grooming a single backlog, and through every customer interaction that we have, we're going to be working as a team to not only look at refining what we have laid down for version 10, but also what will come in the point releases and the next major releases after that around the roadmap. So this high degree of touch, whether it's online or face-to-face around the roadmap, is something that we're going to continue with.
Yeah, and look, I think that's just part of the basic standards around agile development and the iterative approach that we're taking. I will say that the teams have partnered very well on identifying a single backlog that the engineering organization is very focused on right now. And I think, as Andrew noted, we will be transparent about what we're building and the progress we're making, and we'll look for your feedback as we're progressing here. But I think the key thing is V10 is just the beginning of this journey. You will see further investment as we progress, and we'll continue to keep all of you in the loop on how we're doing there.
Great. I have a question, for Bob here. One of the questions was, is IBM continuing to invest in connections? And what's the ICS strategy?
Well, I appreciate the question, Andrew. So the answer is yes. We continue to invest in connections and in workspace, and that's another opportunity when we get together at Think to showcase the new features and services that are rolling out as part of the Pink release, and how those, how we're making the connection between Pink and workspace in the future. So please, come by Think, and we'll have that discussion in person, and if not, we'll have it online.
That's great. Let's just pick another one here. Yeah, there's one here about what about the mobile experience? How is that going to work? Well, we have lots of different mobile experiences. We have same time chat on mobile. We have Verse Mobile on Android and iOS. We also have Traveler, so we have support for Apple Mail and Calendar. And what we're actually talking about is adding to that cadre of capabilities.
So that's one of the exciting things that we're looking forward to is it being a little bit, at Think, we'll show you some of the investments we are making around the mobile clients. I will tell you, though, from a development perspective, we're also looking at ways that we can do some potential consolidations. So there's, lots of work on that. I think we obviously see that being foundational for our portfolio moving forward, as we all have multiple mobile devices at this point. So more to come on that, and that is going to be, for those of you attending Think, when we talk about some of the top secret development that we've been doing, this is going to be an area where we'll actually be able to show you what we've been able to build up to this point, which I'm really happy about the progress we've made from a development perspective.
That's great. There's several questions around the topic of Apple Mac support in general. For us, I think we all recognize how important Apple Mac is, whether you're a decision maker, whether you're a C-suite executive, or whether you're a developer developing code, particularly if you're a JavaScript developer. So we're going to have an evolving story around the Apple Mac. We're going to make some inroads into that within the version 10 timeframe, but there's a lot more to do there. So a couple of things. One of the things we're actually looking at is making sure we have a single code stream across Windows and Apple Mac for the Notes client. Obviously, with the JavaScript stuff that you saw with Jason today, that was using Visual Code from Microsoft on the Mac, developing the application, and that's going to be a typical sort of route to doing that. And there will probably be some other news as time goes on. But Apple Mac is very important from a platform, as is iOS. and Android.
There was also a question around IBM Mobile Connect. This is an area that I think we've heard lots of feedback from various customers and partners in Europe around. This is an area that we will be offering extended support on, but it is also an area that, in conjunction with IBM, HCL is looking at this being an area where we'll be making some investments. So more to come on that in the very short future on some of the things that we're thinking about around IMC, and we'd love to hear your feedback on.
Right. Okay, so I think there's some other questions in here, Richard. I think what we can do is we'll hit the most important ones in the blog. We'll add some other ones that we haven't tackled here during the call. And maybe time is to wrap up right now. Unless there's one more you wanted to take. No. Okay, good. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone listening to the call today. I really appreciate all of your input and your time and attention today. I realize a lot of people in Asia Pacific will be listening to the recording later on. Also, for the people in Europe that have stayed on after work to listen to this, I really appreciate that. As I mentioned, there will be other avenues to ask questions, and we have the ability to funnel those questions to the IBM and ACL leadership team to be able to get your questions answered. And we'll be looking forward to engaging you in the future. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Bob for some closing words. Bob?
Thanks, Andrew. And thanks, Richard. Hopefully now everyone else understands why I'm so excited about joining the Domino team at this moment. As you heard, we're going back to our roots as the essential application platform that businesses tap to get work done. And we will do that in context of IBM collaboration solutions and investments. I want to thank you for your time today, for your participation, for the questions and feedback that I've seen online. I know you're engaged and look forward to shaping this next release of Domino with you. So thanks, everybody. Look forward to talking to you again soon.